Overnight, global markets stayed on edge as the standoff around the Strait of Hormuz intensified. Iran says it has seized 2 container ships, and there are reports of a vessel being fired on near Oman. The U.S. has maintained pressure on Iranian ports, while President Trump says he is extending a ceasefire deadline as Pakistan pushes for talks. The practical impact is energy risk. Oil has pushed back above the US $100 mark in some trading, and energy traders are positioning for a longer disruption for the global economy that keeps inflation risks alive and complicates the outlook for central banks and shipping-dependent supply chains. In Europe, the EU has approved a €90 billion loan package for Ukraine, and Ukraine says it has reopened the Druzhba pipeline, ending a deadlock that had stalled flows to Hungary. It's a reminder that energy infrastructure remains a strategic lever in the broader conflict environment, even as attention is pulled toward the Middle East. On the technological revolution front, the Financial Times reports uncertainty around U.S. chip-making investment in Pennsylvania, with promised federal funds not yet flowing. That matters because semiconductors sit at the center of AI, defense technology, and productivity growth, and delays can ripple through global supply and national security planning. Turning to artificial intelligence and cyber risk, ABC reports Australian banks, power providers and infrastructure firms cannot access a new AI-driven cybersecurity threat test known as Anthropic's Mythos because it has not been made public. The material development here is the capability gap. Critical infrastructure operators may be unable to properly stress test systems against emerging AI-enabled attack methods, raising questions about preparedness, information sharing, and whether government needs to broker access or create domestic testing equivalents. In Australia's policy and politics, the National Disability Insurance Scheme is now the central fiscal and political test ahead of the budget. Health Minister Mark Butler has outlined significant changes, with tightened eligibility and plan adjustments flagged to begin from July, and major savings expected. Commentary across outlets frames this as the biggest attempt at structural restraint in years, with the key question being whether this is treated as a one-off fix or a template for broader spending discipline. For the Australian Public Service, this implies a heavy implementation load. New rules, reassessments, appeals pressure, and service provider transition risks, all under intense scrutiny. Cost of living pressures remain acute. ABC reports new data from Oz Harvest showing about 1 in 3 people accessing food relief are doing so for the first time. That is a significant indicator of household stress and suggests demand is broadening beyond traditionally vulnerable cohorts, with implications for social services and the political debate on relief versus restraint. On energy policy and household economics, the Sydney Morning Herald reports a proposed electricity pricing shakeup could reduce bills overall, but may leave household battery owners facing thousands of dollars in losses. If confirmed through final decisions, it could reshape consumer incentives for storage and complicate the narrative around household-led electrification. In the Pacific, ABC reports confusion after a leader said a fuel emergency declaration had been agreed, while other leaders reportedly did not know about it. The immediate development is diplomatic friction and messaging risk at a time when fuel security is already sensitive due to global shipping and oil volatility. No major new move is flagged here for the Australian share market beyond the global driver. Energy prices and geopolitical risk are likely to dominate sentiment today, with flow-on attention on transport, airlines, and energy-exposed industrials.